Today, it's finally time to talk about FinOps. Lately in the industry, there's been a lot of rhetoric, especially around the idea that every organization needs to have a dedicated center of excellence sort for FinOps. Today, we're going to discuss whether or not every organization needs to have FinOps, and I'm going to give you some pros and cons. This is going to be a controversial video, heads up. So stick with me. This is going to be a lot of fun. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Elias, and today we're going to answer the question, do you need a dedicated FinOps center of excellence or a dedicated FinOps team? Does every organization need a dedicated team for cloud cost optimization? Now, before we get started, if you like this type of content, do me a favor, help me satisfy the YouTube's gods, the algorithm. Hit that like button, share, definitely leave a comment below. This is definitely going to be a controversial video. Now, also hit that notification bell so that you're alerted the next time I upload a video. And I am going to give you 6 reasons why I believe you do not need a dedicated FinOps. To be honest with you, I should be saying for every size organization, because that's truly what I believe. But at this point, I'm going to limit that to most organizations probably don't need a dedicated FinOps center of excellence or a dedicated FinOps team, because there's always exceptions. You're always going to come across an organization where maybe this is justified. But today, I'm going to go over 6 reasons. Reason number 1, not every organization has significant cloud expenditure. Now, we can make the case, we can make the argument that as time goes by, every organization is going to have cloud presence. That's fair. Most organizations probably already have a cloud presence. But depending on what you're doing in the cloud, you might have workloads that don't really have a lot of variation. They might be static, they might be stable. Reason number 2, you've been doing cost optimization for the last 30 or 40 years. Now look, I'm the one that strongly advocates that in the cloud, you need to have a different mindset. You need to have a different approach. But that doesn't mean that we fundamentally change everything that we know, everything that we've learned, all of the methods and processes that we've mastered over the last 40 or 50 years in the data center. Doing cloud cost optimization is going to have a lot of similarities to the way you've been doing optimization on premises. So the idea that all of a sudden you haven't needed a dedicated FinOps team on premises, but all of a sudden now in the cloud, you need a dedicated FinOps team, we're stretching it. We're stretching it a little bit. We need to kind of ground ourselves in reality, understand what the capabilities are, understand what the realities are, what the challenges are, and build processes and automations around what we're trying to do to avoid having these silos again. So we've been spending all of this time trying to break up the IT silos of, network engineers and systems engineers and storage engineers. All of a sudden now we're starting to build silos on the other side of governance that kind of replicate that. And at some point, we're going to start looking at this and saying, we need to start breaking up these silos. Let's not get there. We haven't needed dedicated FinOps teams for the last 50 years on premises. There's no reason why we need them, and that is not a prerequisite for you to do continuous cloud cost optimization in the cloud. So again, my second reason is you haven't needed it. So do you really need it now? Or is this again, politics will come into play, culture will come into play, expanding one's organization comes into play. So keep that in mind as you're thinking about dedicated FinOps teams. Reason number 3, and this is probably the most important reason of the 6 reasons that we're talking about. DevOps should own the budget. By giving the responsibility of the budget to the team, the decentralized team for that specific application that is responsible for architecting and building that application, you increase the incentive for that team to properly do cost optimization, to take into account cost optimization as part of their continuous use of these resources. Now, this goes back to something I've been saying for a very long time. Architecting, designing, and deploying in the cloud requires a different mindset. Now, it is the DevOps mindset that you want. And the idea here is that you are going to develop, you're going to architect systems that are optimized to take advantage of cloud resources, of cloud infrastructure. So by decentralizing this function to the application DevOps team, you're making it part of the operations task. which historically, and again, back to reason number 2 with the on-premises conversation, historically, this has been an ops conversation. This has been an ops responsibility. So in a DevOps world, it doesn't make sense that we're taking this away from ops and putting it into a FinOps team of some sort. So we're siloing it even more. Instead of doing that, make that part of the DevOps team. Make that the responsibility of the team that is developing, that is architecting, that is operating, that is managing, that is supporting this application. It is their responsibility to continuously optimize so that they can take advantage of the budget and take advantage of the resources that they're using. They are the only ones in reality, that can truly make the optimizations that are going to make the significant benefits, the significant optimizations that you're looking for. Sure, there are a lot of third-party tools that they're going to help you with, hey, switch out this instance here, switch out that instance there. And those are very, very useful. We're going to talk about them in a second. But making the cost optimization process part of the DevOps conversation, part of the DevOps process, the responsibility of the application DevOps team, that's gold. So for organizations at the scale, at the size where they're having a conversation on a dedicated FinOps team, my question to you is, why is that not part of the DevOps responsibility? It should be. It should be on those architecting to have the mindset, the cloud cost mindset as they're doing this. Should we be leveraging this resource or that resource? What is the cost implication? How do we continuously optimize for cost as part of the design and architecture of this entire pipeline, of this funnel, so to speak? Reason number 4, overheads and resources. Now, building a dedicated FinOps team requires a significant amount of investment in terms of money, right? But it also requires a significant amount of investment in human capital, in human resources. You're going to have to hire individuals, and these individuals will need to have a financial sense. They need to understand the finance part of things, but they also need to understand the cloud part of things. And here's the interesting part, back to why DevOps should own it. There's only so much they can do. They are going to be able to maybe recognize the problem. In some instances, maybe they're able to make a difference by switching out an instance. Again, I'm simplifying this, but just to get the conversation going. But in most cases, what they're going to end up doing is going back to the application developers, to the ops folks, in order to make the changes that are going to be meaningful to impact the cost. So instead of having them as a separate team, they should be part of the team that is continuously looking at this. And their job function cannot be all day long, every hour, every minute of the day, to look at cloud cost optimization. That is unrealistic, folks. And that is unrealistic across the board, regardless of the size of the organization. Yes, at this point, and reason 5, I'm going to go there. So again, instead of investing in a dedicated FinOps team, I would advise, if you have the budget, expand your DevOps team and bring in additional resources that can support the DevOps team in other functions, but make the cloud cost optimization culture part of that. That would be a winning formula for you. Reason number 5 is cloud vendor management tools, whether it's the native cloud providers themselves, the hyperscalers, or third party. Now, there are a ton of tools out there that will help you with alerting, with budgeting, with recommendations, with all sorts of capabilities, right? Thereby negating the need to have dedicated individuals that are constantly, again, every hour of the day, looking at these things. You have the ability to leverage these tools. Some of them are free, some of them are paid, and I'm an advocate of always having a strong paid cost optimization tool that's going to help you, that's going to make your life easier, that's going to offer automations, that's going to save you time. I'm a strong advocate of that. These tools exist. So if these tools exist, making them part of the operations responsibility should be even easier. Now, I know the ops folks are probably looking at me saying, Eli, we already have a lot of tools. We can't handle another amount of tool. I get it. But folks, we're on the cusp. We're in the AI era. We're in the automation era. Today, it's going to be all about how well we can automate, how well we can correlate. Look, you're going to get more data thrown at you. You're going to have more security vulnerabilities and security challenges thrown at you. Everything is growing exponentially. So if you were dealing with terabytes of data, you're dealing with petabytes of data. If you were dealing with hundreds of risks, you're dealing with thousands and millions of risk and security potential at this point. We cannot continue to say, well, I have another tool. It's going to be all about automating. So the next phase of what you're doing from an operations perspective is going to come down to how much you automate, how much you're going to use AI today and in the future. And I will tell you this, we're recording this kind of in the middle of 2023. AI is going to look significantly different a year from now than it is today. And again, putting aside some of the hype and some of the stuff that's going on in AI is going to bring a level of efficiency to the operations team in particular, the likes of which we haven't seen in many, many years, specifically around the tool sprawl that we already have. Reason number 6 is outsourcing. Now look, I'm in general not a huge fan of outsourcing, of managed services. I've gone through, I don't know if I've told the story on the channel before. I used to work for a company. I loved that company. It used to be called General Growth Properties, or GGP. They owned shopping malls around the United States, large shopping malls. Kind of like Simon Properties, for those of you that know Simon Properties. GGP was number 2. They were the second competitor to Simon Properties. And in my opinion, we built a team and a data center back then that was state of the art. I still think of that data center. That's how well it was built and designed and managed. But at some point, a CIO was changed, and this new CIO came in and brought in an outsourcer. We're not going to name names on the channel, but they brought in an outsourcer, and my job wasn't at stake. So it wasn't, hey, I'm disgruntled because they let me go. No, they actually wanted to hire a lot of the existing engineers and administrators and architects back then. I'm talking, again, this is way back in 2001. So I decided to leave at the time and pursue other things, but they took that IT organization and destroyed it. Pretty much destroyed it. The service, the customer service, the technical support, everything went down, everything became a change order. And although this was sold as, hey, a cost savings exercise, in the end, it became more of, it was more expensive. And again, the quality of service it became horrible. So in general, I personally, and others might have a better experience in terms of outsourcing. My only experience was that it wasn't very pleasant, it wasn't very good. However, there are cases where managed services and outsourcing certain functions makes a lot of sense. So if you feel like you're at a point where you are considering a dedicated FinOps team, my first suggestion to you is, instead of trying to go out there and trying to build this yourself, invest the money in the tools, in the people, in the infrastructure, in all of that. I would suggest having conversations with third-party outsourcers and managed services whose sole goal, whose sole reason for existence is FinOps, because they've been doing it for a long time. They might be able to help you establish a dedicated FinOps team without necessarily having to put in the budget for a FinOps team. They might be able to give you the recommendations, the cost, the alerts, maybe some of the observations that they have on a regular basis without needing you to make that investment. They already have the resources, they already have the automation. So in theory, they should be able to complement what you're looking for. So my advice in the end here is, at the point where you're considering a dedicated FinOps team, have conversations with folks whose sole job is to offer you FinOps as a service, let's call it. That would be a conversation that's worth having. Now, you're not going to, you're going to have to go through a lot of interviews. That's another thing with outsourcers that I've noticed. They're going to bring their A team when they come have the interview. Make sure you understand what team is going to be supporting your account. Have a conversation with that team. Don't have a conversation with the rock stars that they're going to bring in. Those are for shaking hands, great, listen to them, but then tell them, hey, I want to talk to the team that's directly going to support me. That's the account manager, that's the engineers, that's the support folks. Try it out. Make a call to the call center and try to have a conversation with someone to understand what that process would look like. So if you decide to go with an outsourcer, spend the time, put in the effort to give them a fair shake, a fair test run. Well, how did I do? 6 reasons for why, in my opinion, you will never need a dedicated FinOps team. Where did I go wrong? What did I get right? What do you agree with? What do you disagree with? The comments is the best place to share. I would love to learn. As you can see, I'm opinionated, but again, I'm here to give you a perspective that's going to make you think. I'm not here just to say things, right? Otherwise, why would you listen? I'm here to offer you a different perspective that might challenge the status quo for you to consider these things. So let me know in the comments below what you thought. Please make sure you like. I have a ton of folks that are watching these videos, but they are not subscribing, they are not liking, they're not commenting, but I can see you in the analytics. So do me a favor, let me know whether you like it or you don't like it, so that if you like it, great. If you don't like it, so that I can improve. But hit that like, hit that share, leave a comment below, hit the notification bell so that you're alerted the next time I upload a video. Do not forget to subscribe. I love you all, and I will see you in the next one.